in Belen, New Mexico. It seemed like a perfect day to ride a bike. Tara had borrowed her mother's pink bike to go out for a spin. She was extroverted and active and always had a lot of energy and had a knack for sports. She worked as a bank teller and was studying to become a psychologist. She planned to play tennis that afternoon and had asked her mom to drive out after her just in case she got a flat tire and wasn't home by noon. So Tara goes off to play tennis, meet up with their friends at this park where they have a tennis court. Tara really loves playing tennis, and so she takes off in her little car and drives off to meet up with their friends. Time passes and noon hits the clock, and Tara never returns by noon, and her mom starts to get worried and overthink, what can possibly have gone wrong. It's already noon and she's not back. She immediately thinks, well, maybe I'll just wait a little bit. I know my daughter said to go out after me if I wasn't back by noon. And so she tries to not overthink the situation, and she waits 5 minutes. 5 minutes pass and she feels, well, maybe I'll just wait another 10 minutes. So she waits 10 minutes and she just almost in anxiety and out of desperation, she decides to, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and see if my daughter Tara is okay, because I'm starting to get really worried, and this just seems too crazy to me for her to not be back by this time. I know she told me just in case to drive out there, but I didn't want to overthink the situation, and I'm just hoping that my daughter's okay and everything's okay, so she hopes that she's gonna see Tara on the middle of the road, possibly stranded. And so she drives off and she passes the main road, the freeway and everything, the highway, and she never gets a sign of Tara. And so now she starts to worry even more, and she eventually gets to the park where this tennis court is, and she parks her car, gets out of the car, and starts looking for Tara. Maybe a sign of her friends walking around, possibly still playing tennis, and maybe Tara is in the bathroom or she went to the store real quick, but her friends weren't there anymore, and so she knows Tara's friends, but her friends aren't there, and she doesn't see Tara. She starts to worry and panic, and this is just beginning to become a little bit too much for Tara's mom. And she just decides to go back home, and she thinks, well, maybe my daughter will arrive later. Maybe she forgot to tell me or call me after, call the house phone. Um, I truly feel my daughter's gonna be fine. I truly believe that my daughter's okay, but I'll just wait a little bit. And she waits, and she's home drinking coffee in the living room, but she just starts to overthink again, and it's beginning to become even worse. She starts to panic, and Tara never returns. And after all of this ordeal, she had called the police and countless investigations and thorough speculation upon speculation, upon theory, upon rumors, and no evidence or clues were truly ever found. And every dead end was like a solid rock, a brick, layered with concrete and cement and iron and steel. And a year later passes after all of this, and a photo randomly appears outside of a parking lot of a Junior's food store in Florida. And in the picture, it shows 9-year-old Michael Henley, who went missing in the same area as Tara in April of 1988 when he was hunting turkeys with his father. This had to be a very crazy and sick individual to have abducted, possibly abducted Tara or this kid, Michael, who was only 9 years old. Was he a predator, a pedophile? He liked to prey on young women and children. Just an evil, very evil and snake type of individual, who in all honesty deserves no remorse in heaven. This guy is just sick individual. And her mom, throughout this whole ordeal, she decides to accept the fact that her daughter Tara is possibly dead somewhere, and she doesn't know how or who did this, so it's just too much for her, and she goes through very deep depression. What makes it even worse is that she lives alone in this house. It was only her and her daughter Tara, and she just feels very vulnerable because she's so used to having her daughter Tara at home, and Tara's not there anymore, and so much time goes by, and just rumors and news reports on Tara and what might have happened. She begins to go a little bit bipolar because of all of this situation that's going on. She's becoming very paranoid. She's not beginning to like herself. She's just very depressed and sad and lonely throughout this whole ordeal. After the investigators do the reports and investigations on Tara and Michael, which in the picture they seem to be in the back of a van with a copy of a book written by V.C. Andrews, Tara's favorite author, lying right beside her. Initially, Tara's mother didn't think the girl was her identical to Tara's. Still, due to thorough investigations that they did, the police could never find any true evidence, and there was lack of all of the evidence and reports done, so there was no clues or conclusions or anything, and many experts decided to dismiss the photograph. And in 1990, Michael's Henley's body, the boy in the picture, the 9-year-old boy in the picture, where Savannah is laying right next to him. Savannah has tape around her mouth, and the boy too, his mouth is wrapped with some type of black thing or silver gray thing. The police find that his body is missing. In 1990, they find Michael Henley's body, and it's in the Zuni Mountains, where he was hunting with his father. So they find his body. Immediately disconnects the theory that the two were abducted and taken to Florida. Tara's parents would eventually die over time. They never found out who took their daughter throughout this whole mess, and very, very sad story. Tara's parents were very depressed, and they never found out what happened to her daughter Tara. She just basically went missing, and no evidence or clue was ever found. Tara, to this day, is found missing, and there's no clue or anything. Only some random photographs on the internet. If you surf up Tara Calico, you can find this case, and it was back in September 20th, 1988. And this happened in Belen, New Mexico. It's a very sad story, very tragic story. Tara had a life ahead of her, and she was a very young girl, bright girl. Her mom was a very good person as well. She loved her daughter, and it's just a very sad story, very creepy story. And especially with this photograph that looked just like Tara. And in the photograph, you notice that it looks just like the girl. It looks just like Tara. That's the end of this story, folks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and turn on all notifications for more stories. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.